We'll talk to John Zechner about the data center build-out. Is that story slowing down? Signals from Microsoft suggest the answer may be yes. We'll have that right after this. Actually, we're going to do that right now. John, we're going to talk to you about the AI build-out that has really fueled the chip stocks over the past couple of years. You've been doing some research and reading some research that suggests that maybe some of these big companies responsible for the build are slowing down, Microsoft in particular.
Yeah, this is not ending, Paul, and I think there's lots of money still to be made and lots of growth ahead in the next couple of years because the implementation of AI will obviously roll out and increase over time. I just think between what we saw from DeepSeek and maybe the cost of the AI rollout, which just moved the stocks down initially, and then just commentary from some of the the major hyperscalers and the other players about spending going forward. I mean, everyone's very bullish on it, but very few people picked up the Microsoft's comments that I think it's $80 billion they're spending this year. That looks like it's peaking in the current fiscal year, which ends in June. So going forward, that spending won't go as much. And we know in momentum-oriented sectors, growth-oriented sectors like that, particularly, you need to keep the growth going almost at an accelerated rate. There's so much momentum there. So the fact that it's increasing is not enough. It's what rate is it increasing at? And you saw that in the hyperscalers last quarter. From there were sort of disappointment in some of the cloud growth. You realize, oh, that was 30% last quarter, and now it's 26%. Well, it's still 26% growth, but it's not 30. So I think the risk of the stocks is you will sort of disappoint the investor expectations. I think there's a lot of momentum-oriented money in here, and that's what scares me a little bit. And that showed when the DeepSeek news came out. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way those stocks sold off dramatically shows me there's a lot of weak holders of this, new holders. Things start to go down, they panic and they sell quickly because, and then the other side, then the story has legs ahead. I mean, the AI rollout will continue a period of time. I just worry that monetization is going to be slower than a lot of investors are expecting because we're not talking about, in terms of a return on investment, return on equity. We're not talking millions or even billions. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars being spent on this data center, the build-out and rollout. I mean, you need a pretty significant return on the products in order to get that money back. And what I'm seeing so far, I mean, I saw Salesforce numbers came out in the commentary on, Agentforce, a big thing that with Matthew McConaughey and all of that. Yeah, they're getting customers. I haven't seen a lot of revenue from this, and we're starting to see, Copilot. A lot of these things are still being given away, or minimal charges, to existing accounts to get them. I don't see the big dollars yet. So, I think there's some question as to how much spend will be ahead on the data center. So, the market will create opportunities. Some things got beat up really badly, and we're always looking for things to buy on the weakness. And I think the DeepSeek sell-off was so dramatic, it created opportunities. The biggest beneficiaries in Canada have been companies like Celestica, because they're big into the hardware build-out of all ends of the data centers. That will continue, but the stock got way ahead of itself. But so, create these opportunities.
Celestica stock has corrected fairly significantly.
It has, exactly.
In the past
it's come down. Exactly. You saw on the DeepSeek news, it got up to 190. Next thing you know, for a day, it's down to 120, 130 range. So market will create the opportunities, but there's a lot of volatility, and I just think the expectations are still very high. And I think there's a lot of momentum-oriented investors that will, are maybe not in it for the long haul, and if they see disappointment, they may, bail quickly.
We're almost out of time, but what do you think of the power side of this story, that these data centers require enormous power? We've seen some companies strike deals with some power providers to power these data centers.
Good point, Paul, because I think that is the better part of the story. I think you go ahead. I mean, the uranium stocks, uranium producers, and all of the build-out of those facilities, but natural gas is a bigger one because you can get there quicker. Capital Power, names like that, I think will do very well still.
That is John Zechner. We will take